Tell me when to go. Hello! Welcome to Agnes Finster. I have Lotta here with me today for a very short amount of time. And
Look at the camera, look at the camera.
oh Lotta. Today I'm gonna show you like the books that I left very kindly at Mari's house. So these like books are like books I've left in storage, I guess. But like they're here. So I thought I'd give you a bookshelf tour whilst I'm here. So yeah, I do have these things that I got whilst I was here, like this visit, and I am hoping to take them home with me, but if they don't fit, I thought I would just show them. And they also seem really interesting. So this is a book called Jewish Life and Culture in Norway, Wergelands or Wergeland? Wergelands Legacy, by the American Scandinavian Foundation, ? It's kind of like a bind up of an exhibition that was in Norway originally and then kind of like got a bit of a rebrand and then toured America. But yeah, it just looks really interesting, and it's quite hard to find like stuff about Jewish life in Norway, partially because there's a very small population of Jews here. Yeah. And yeah, we went to like the Jewish Museum in Oslo, which is where I got these from. So I also got these which are related to the exhibitions they have there. This one's called What Happened in Norway, Shoah and the Norwegian Jews. Which is like Holocaust and Norwegian Jews. And this is Shtetl, A Lost World, which I think also is like another exhibition that's kind of like traveling around, but it had some really nice like images and stuff, so I got this because I kind of was like, maybe I'll cut them out of like Shtetl Jews. Okay. Some of these books I have read. I think the majority I've read, but I guess we'll have to see. And some of them I haven't, and I in an ideal world, I would take them home with me now, but I don't have the space to do that. But we've got Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, which I have read. It is kind of strange being back here because like a lot of these I really highly associate with the time that I was here. So there's that one. And yeah, this one especially I feel that way, which is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, which I did really enjoy. It's like a really fun kind of, I don't really want to say speculative, but it's one of those books that kind of bridges like our world and also other worlds, like very purposefully so in this one. And it's about this like lost guy called Piranesi who lives in a house. Then we've got The Memory of Babel by Crystal Dabo, translated by Hildegard Sell, which is the third book in a series, which I actually have not continued on. There's a fourth book, and I do kind of want to, but this book left a really bad taste in my mouth because I remember that there was like quite a lot of like racist and very racialized language describing some of the characters. Anyway, and like it just made me really uncomfortable. And obviously this is in translation, but still I just was a bit like, so I don't know. But I mean, I kept it because I kind of do want to finish the series. I think I do. I think I maybe just needed a bit of time from it, so maybe that's what I'll try and read this year. This book I haven't read. This is A Sparrow's Flight by Margaret Elphinstone, in this very like well-designed 20th century Scottish women's fiction edition. Yeah, I think I actually also have another Margaret Elphinstone book which I also haven't read, but that's because it's in this series and I think I like didn't realise that they were like sequential. Yes, it's from the 1980s, and I think it's kind of about the relationship between Scotland and England and like borderlands, sanity, madness, dreaming, myth and reality, nature. Looks really interesting. I also have another book I haven't read, A Harp in Lowndes Square by Rachel Ferguson. This is from the 1930s. I think like I honestly got this because I lost a book by Rachel Ferguson called like Alas Poor Lady, and so then I wanted to make myself feel better, so I got this. But I think it, you know, will be interesting when I get to it. It's just not like a super priority. We have Stubborn Archivist by Yara Rodriguez Fowler, which I really enjoyed when I read it. Like it wasn't like one of those 5-star reads, but it was one of those reads that like kind of stays with you in a way that like is kind of unexpected. Just like about like a woman who's like British Brazilian, if I remember correctly, and it's kind of just about like her experience of like sense of identity, place, community, friendship, and it's got like this kind of melancholy tinge that isn't ultimately doomful. It's just that, yeah, I don't know, it was nice. This book I really enjoyed. This is The Lie Tree by Frances Hardinge. It is like a YA book and it's a historical fiction book, kind of like a mystery book. Are you okay? Yeah, it's kind of like a mystery book where like, yeah, there's this girl called Faith and her father. It's like kind of in the time when Darwin and like Darwinian theory is like coming to be accepted or like explored more in science, and like therefore it's obviously like kind of questioning a lot of like religious men's belief, and especially because a lot of religious men were doing scientific work. That's kind of a tough tension there. So like her dad is that, and yeah, there's like a specific tree, a lie tree, that like produces fruit to tell the truth or something. Anyway, I did read it a long time ago, but I did like it a lot. Part of me is like, maybe I shouldn't keep it, but I kind of want to. I think I am going to get rid of this book actually, but this is The Pinhole Egg by Diana Wynne Jones. It's like the 6th, I think, in the like Chrestomanci series. It's like one of the better ones in the Chrestomanci series, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed that series like very much at all. So, but I mean, it's about an egg, which I obviously love. Yeah, there's like, I really can't remember very much about this, but there is a way that Chrestomanci, like the wizard in this main series, like that he, or like he's called, what is he, like an enchanter or something? Because he's like, you know, the top wizard. Like that he basically functions as a cop, and I don't really like that. So we've got 2 Miriam Kapila books, both translated by Jessica Karzane from the Yiddish. This is Judith, and this is Diary of a Lonely Girl, or The Battle Against Free Love. Yeah, I really enjoyed both of these when I read them. To be honest, like if I had space, I probably would prioritize bringing these back with me, especially because this is published by my favorite Yiddish diasporist Brass Farlag. But yeah, these are 2 really interesting novels from, or like, yeah, novella, whatever, from the sort of like early 1900s. I think this one's maybe from 1916. I think it was actually published serially, but yeah, they kind of center the experiences and like the emotional lives of like these Yiddish women. This is more focused on a woman who is in, I guess maybe Minsk, but like the Russian Empire at the time. It's like 1904, something like that. And she has like a love interest in a kind of revolutionary man, and he's like trying to move to the US, and so is she, because of the pogroms where she lives. And so it's kind of about that. And yeah, I think they describe the dashing revolutionary as a disappointing man, which I feel is relatable. And it's kind of the same with this, although it's not so much that there's ever kind of like a sense of revolutionariness about the men in this. It's quite like stark about like heterosexual relationships and also consent. But it is a diary like from this girl, although yeah, like this girl slash woman, but in the US this time. But she does come from, I think, the same place as this character did. And Miriam Karpilov, I think. Yeah, and anyway, I did a bad job there, but I'm moving on. This one I haven't read, but this is The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. It's a sci-fi novel, I think. Grace Della Rua, a civil servant with the government of Cygnus Beta, remembers when the Sideri arrived in their planet. So obviously it's about like aliens, I guess. This I think I saw on Onyx Page's channel, and it just sounded really interesting. And yeah, I've been wanting to read some Karen Lord. We've got another Yiddish work, but this is On the Landing by Yenta Mash, translated by Ellen Cassidy. I did talk about this on my channel when I read it, so I won't go into it because it was very ambivalent as an experience, and I think I ultimately would never recommend it. This I did start reading, but I stopped. It's like a modernist novel. It's by Olive Bourne. It's called Fugue. It was pretty difficult to get into, but it's something I definitely want to return to, and I think it has some interesting ideas about like pregnancy and reproduction and stuff. We've got another, like, is this like a sci-fi novel, or maybe it's, I think it's like a sci-fi novel. Well, anyway, whatever. It's like a speculative novel. This is The Future of Another Timeline by Annalee Newitz. I haven't read this one yet, but I think it's, yeah, about like, it's about a world where time travel is possible, but like a secret group of like horrible people are trying to destroy women's rights, so they're like traveling to different points in time trying to destroy stuff. And then I think, you know, people are obviously fighting against that, which yeah, I think has like potential. I also feel like I might feel very critical of like maybe the political ideas in this, but I also am kind of intrigued to see how it plays out, I guess. We've got Sabriel by Garth Nix, which is the first in the Old Kingdom series, which I have read. Really loved the series. I kind of am constantly wanting to reread it, really, but yeah, this book is like the first, but it also like happens quite a lot before the rest of the books. But Sabriel's great in it. I think like for YA, that was published before YA became like codified into such like a consumable category that's like associated just with like selling a lot of books. This is really good. I feel like it works against a lot of things that people come to expect from young adult books. and I feel like it respects the reader quite a lot as well, which I like. I haven't read a few of these. So this is Triangulum, which has a complicated blurb, I think, but is another book I think I saw on Onyx Page's channel, and I think it's also another book that's about time and time travel and stuff, or like the confluence of time, and also alien contact. I think like definitely some themes of the books I left it. This is Rachel Pollack's Unquenchable Fire. This is another book I did try to read. I just was clearly not like in the zone for it. Did you read it?
I started it last year, and then I don't remember why I stopped. I think I like had started it and brought that and several other books on holiday maybe, and then kept reading other ones. So like I will read it.
Yeah, well, also there's another Rachel Pollack that I wanted to read called like Godmother Night or something. So it's not that I'm like uninterested in this, I just like couldn't get into it. In an America where the miraculous is par for the course, with magic and myths are as real as shopping malls and television game shows. Anyway, sorry. Also, I think like this has tarot stuff in it, right? Is that...
Not the part that I got to. I don't think, maybe.
Oh no, maybe it's just that Rachel Pollack wrote stuff about tarot.
Oh, yeah.
I think that might be it.
That.
No.
But it was very like religious stuff.
Right. Then we have The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman, which I have read a long time ago when I was a child. I think I was in my time period of really wanting to reread it, which is why this is here, like when I was here last before. It's the second in the His Dark Materials trilogy. Then we have Low, obviously best book of all time. I also partially left it here so that Mari could read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so good. It's a really just incredible novel about like modernism and art and like aesthetics and liberation. So good. So yeah, I'm also really looking forward to bringing this home with me too one day. Then there's The Weather House by Nan Shepherd, which is like a really interesting novel. I think whilst I was here I was doing like a 1930s reading project, so I read this as part of that too. It kind of follows on from The Quarrywood, which I think is sort of the first in the series, but it's a loose series. It's not really... I think it might be interlinked a bit more by place than by people, but I can't remember. I did read both of these quite a while ago now. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was like... There's just like a way that Nan Shepherd writes, especially about nature, but also about people's relationship to nature, that I think is just so incredibly beautiful and so like concise, but like deep. And I love that, and yeah, I felt that way about this. I haven't read this Victorian novel. This is Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope, but I do want to. It's I've read the first one in that series, Chronicles of Barsetshire. So I've read The Warden. I haven't kept going with it, but I do want to. Then we have War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, which I have read, unfortunately. But this is a copy that someone gave me as a birthday present, I think maybe when I turned 18. And I do like it. I think it's a nice cover and stuff, so I wanted to keep it. Now we have the Sylvia Townsend Warner section. This is Summer Will Show, which I've read a bit of, but I'm not sure that I ever will finish it, but that's okay. Then we have Mr. Fortune's Maggot and The True Heart. I'd say this cover is really nice. And yeah, both of these are fairly short like novels, but this one is more of like a love story. I think it's set in the 1880s, and it's about like an orphan who like has to go through these journeys. It's kind of like a Psyche and like a what's the name, Cupid and Psyche retelling, but it's like fun and campy, and I would say it's not queer, but it's also like kind of dyke camp in its like aesthetic, which obviously is quite Sylvia Townsend Warner. And then this one is a little bit more difficult, I think. Like, it's from the 1920s, but it's set, or like it's about this like clerk who's a reverend or whatever, and he like goes to convert inhabitants of like a tropical island called Fanua to Christianity, and like he is the joke. It's like one of those books that is like anti-imperialism, but it's still too like racist to be like genuinely anti-imperialist. You know what I mean? Like it's like almost there, or like, because the joke is not just him, like it is also the inhabitants of the island and stuff, so it feels like who you're supposed to be laughing at is still like, yeah, part of the issue. The Jeanette Winterson book I have not read yet. This is The Stone Gods. This is also, I think, a sci-fi book. because she has many different genres inside of her. Yeah, I really don't know anything about it, but I basically do want to read all of Jeanette Winterson's work, which is why when I like saw this in a charity shop many years ago, I just picked it up without plans to read it immediately. We have Miss Mole. Yeah, this is also from when I was reading 1930s stuff by E.H. Young. I did really like this. I thought the way that it took seriously like a slightly older woman's life was really nice, I think, and yeah, I just enjoyed its exploration of like spinsterhood. But yeah, I can't remember the ending, so maybe I wouldn't be that happy with it. This is another like 1930s reading, although this person was writing yeah, from like the 20s into the 70s, 60s. But this is Valentine Ackland's Journey from Winter selected poems. I've definitely not read all of these, but I have read some. She was a pretty cool poet, and she lived with Sir Townsend Warner, like they were a couple. She was like a Communist Party member in the 1950s, and she also went to Spain to try and help with the Spanish Civil War, and you know, was anti-fascist. She also does have a famous poem about like teaching her like partner how to shoot in case Nazis like invade England, which is probably her most famous poem, but she's not very famous really poetically. Okay, we're almost done. So we got Many Hands Make a Quilt, Short Histories of Radical Quilting by Jess Bailey, which is this really nice, just like small non-fiction exploration of quilting, with some really nice illustrations from Common Threads Press, who I do love. Then I got Fighting Women, Interviews with Veterans of the Spanish Civil War. I haven't read this. Mari, have you read this?
I have finally read this.
Hey!
Yeah, I read it last year.
Okay, great. One of us has read it. Mari kept putting this on her like to read list of my books and then not getting to it. So I'm now excited to take this home with me at some point and read it. Did you like it?
Yeah.
And then I have How Nonviolence Protects the State by Peter Gelderloos. Yeah, I've had for a while, but I do think it's like interesting. And I think I read maybe a bit of it. Yeah. There's underlining in it, but not very far. And then this is more like an academic book. This is The Outside Thing, Modernist Lesbian Romance. I don't think I read this fully, but I definitely read chunks and what I thought was relevant to me at the time. This also recalls the time when I was writing PhD applications, which is not an especially fun time to think back on. So yeah, that's like the books that, oh wait, actually, okay, there's 3 more books to talk about. These 2, I guess I'm like giving to Mari, I think. Terra Nullius, also a sci-fi book, but I read it. And When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nevo, because I don't think I'm going to reread them, but they were good books. And also, Mari's currently reading Earthsea, my like bind up 4-book volume. So, you know, she has that. Any comments about it?
Oh, it's so good. I'm kind of wanting to start rereading them as soon as I finish Darnie, which I think is maybe not a great plan. I should give it some time, but
it's true. But there's also the short stories after Darnie, and the Other Wind, the final book.
Yeah, I know.
So you
can just keep going.
Okay. Thank you for filming this, Mari. And let me know what you thought about any of the books I mentioned, or if you've read any of them. Yeah, I think that's everything I had to say. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you when I next talk to you. Bye.